Is possible with social media and the successes of African-centered approaches to education, or the successes of Black studies departments and things like that. The connection hasn't been made somehow. Somehow that those two leads have not been connected in a way that I think that if they were, then I think that it would be explosive. I think that people would, that it would, if those two things were connected, the capability in social media of spreading awareness and the success of African-centered education, the possibilities of it, then I think that that's a big part of what needs to happen. I think, you know, it's connecting these dots, these people who are successful in these different silos across the country. Like we don't have an absence of solutions at all. They're there, but do they know about one another? And is there something that brings them all together? In a lot of cases, I think is the challenge.
No. So apart from all the things that you've mentioned, because I know that your study is very interesting and I'm sure you're not done looking at the future. What are the future avenues in terms of your research? What's the way forward looking at the future?
So what I hope is that in like 10 years, my book will be like obsolete, like old news, you know, and there'll be like these just like institutes of African men's studies and books that are like specifically African men's studies in education, African men's studies in all of these different areas, certificate programs on African men's studies and in colleges and universities, and best practices, political agendas that should be a part of the collective African agenda for for African men. And, you know, I think that that's my biggest hope, that those sort of things start to happen. I mean, I'm also a proponent of single gendered schools, that there need to be more of those options as well. It just doesn't make any sense that you can have the graduation rate, the success rate for educating African men at a place like Morehouse, and then say, what's the solution to the challenge of African men in higher education? Duh. I mean, we're all looking at, like, how can we say that? And we're looking at Morehouse and how successful they are, you know, and not replicate that. It makes absolutely no sense. It's like we're pretending that this giant is not right next to us, like holding a sign, like here's a part of the solution, but not replicating it. It makes absolutely no sense. So I'm a proponent of more single gender school solutions as well.
Fantastic, fantastic, Dr. McDougall. Now, you precisely nailed the fact that Osiri University is a prime example of an institution facilitating an African-centered education.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have any thoughts on how to reach and promote these types of institutions to students and parents? Because if you look at some examples in the US, like you rightly mentioned, the African-American universities are struggling to recruit students in the US. So it does appear that the African people don't like their own stuff. So how can we overcome that?
I think it's important to I mean, people like, I would imagine, I don't know for certain, because I'm just starting with the university, but I would imagine that that those who are the founders, the leaders, you all who are leaders at Osiri University are so busy like doing the actual work, that I think that there just needs to be that research on the impact, the success of these kinds of models, to increase the awareness of it.